passing of the torch? Maybe. So welcome back to the new messy garage. I've actually moved since the last, the last big video, I guess I'll call it. The last time I made the video about this. And my Gen 2 M12 Stubby finally showed up. So it's been on back order with a lot of places. And I'm kind of glad. Now, and the reason I say I'm glad is I've seen a lot of stuff out there, and maybe you have or maybe you haven't, about how this works. And a couple of things in particular. Now, obviously I haven't unboxed it yet, and I will before the end. But one of the big differences, aside from all the power, 250, 550, is the way you change modes. So very classically on the top here, just press the button and change modes. Here you shift it into neutral, pull the trigger, and it shifts. And I love that idea for times when I'm holding something up and don't want to put this down to change to, a grumpier mode or a gentler mode. So that's cool, but people have had mixed opinions about it. The other reason I'm glad I waited is the battery situation. So most of the time I've heard the 4.0 M12 batteries are the higher energy output version of the M12 batteries. Like the 6 is lasts longer but doesn't have the speed or the output that the XC 4.0 does. So this has typically been paired with that. However, as it turns out, to get all the power you want out of this, you really need to have the new high output XC 5.0. And I got these in a pack. I don't actually remember if I posted that video or not. So that included these two and the charger I really didn't want for a good price. But apparently the new Gen 2 Stubby really wants this battery and this battery only if you're going to get all that performance out of it. So that's the quick look. I will tell you, you notice I'm a big fan of the bumpers, so I did get the bumper for this one too. So I'm going to see what it's like, test it a little bit compared to this thing. Obviously it's going to have more power no matter what than this guy, but I've also heard that this costs you a lot of battery life. Now, to be honest, if I'm doing something that is battery life intensive, lots of hard work, I'm maybe using my Gen 2 mid-torque, which I also love. And really, if you saw the other video on this, it fits in a lot of the places this used to give me when I had the older mid-torque. It was kind of a baby 2767. And so it's going to be interesting to see kind of, does the additional battery consumption limit me? Now, the other big thing I like, the one real gripe I have is this light here versus the tri-lights that this has. It's essentially the same that's on the Gen 2 mid. So I'm looking forward to using it, and I guess it's time to get it out of the box. All right, so it's out. I love how minimalist the packaging is now from Milwaukee. Just basically a cardboard bumper for this, the manuals, and one of those raffle things. I've never won anything, so I've stopped trying. First thing I'll do, and I'm curious to know, do any of you actually use the belt hook? I take them off everything and never put them back on. I save them, but I really shouldn't. So, tri-lights, Excite. It does seem weird to not see anything here, like a button, in other words. And, oh, interestingly, so I'll tell you, literally I just took it out of the box. The first thing I notice is, obviously, when you put this in neutral, you feel the resistance of the lockout, the neutral lockout. When you put this in neutral, that's forward, neutral, reverse, doesn't feel any different at all. And that may be why I've heard some complaints from people saying they were switching the modes without meaning to. And so I'm a little surprised they didn't put kind of a positive thing. If the whole idea here is to do this one-handed. Part of doing it one-handed means you don't have to look at it and you're relying on feel, and I can't tell the difference between forward, reverse, and mid, you know, the neutral. So it'll be very interesting to see if I'm that guy that, you know, I can feel it in the button, obviously, but I don't know. So the other thing I'm curious, there are occasions when these batteries are a little hard to get out of that, and I'm wondering if the new batteries have any slight changes of the tool itself that make, you know, getting the battery out easier. But I guess we'll see. All right, I just did a couple test swap outs, the old 4 and the new 5 in and out of the Gen 1 Stubby, and the same in the Gen 2 Stubby, and it's absolutely clear that this is easier to get in and out of that. So the one thing I noticed different is, you know, cylindrical cells. I don't know if this shape helps it not pinch. That's the most obvious difference. But whatever it is, the new XC5 goes in and out of this guy, the old Gen 1 Stubby, really easy, just like here. And this one kind of sticks a little bit. Not only do you get the full power of the new Stubby with this battery, just the usability of this with all of your M12 tools is probably going to be better if you've had that same kind of hard to get out syndrome that I seem to have across a lot of my tools. It didn't bother me enough to not want an M12, but boy, is it nice to already just have that. Don't even think about it. Pinch, pull, done. And since I converted this to a non-use first look, I did want to offer a few more things. I got the cover on. It's got a much wider step for a little more stability, having it upside down. The old one was a little more rocky, and not so much on the new one. And the tri-lights are the deal. Way more light than the old Stubby, for sure. Like, barely tell the difference between lit and unlit. Lots of light there, and that's a big plus. So just a few of the things. The dimensions are different. Like, they've used all the space, brought it up. It's not quite perfectly lined up. So I don't know, out to the tip roughly the same, but how they're packaging things is a little bit different, which I don't really care about, but just thought it was interesting. I kind of wish, based on hearing some people say that this peels off, that there'd been a little bit of a clear window there. And by the way, putting this on was a lot easier than I remember this being. I don't know if that's because of the bigger opening here, or they made a little softer compound. I did hit it with heat gun a little bit before I did it, but anyway, quick experiences with the boot and the first look. But as I said earlier, it really is amazing how different this battery behaves in my M12 tools versus the older style. And we're back to the other side. So that's a quick first look from the messy garage, and I'll give you a tried it out video here as soon as possible. But I think the net is the jury's going to be a little bit out here, and go into it, open your eyes. I'm going to keep this around. I was initially going to sell this right away to just recoup some of the cost of this, but I'll probably keep him handy. I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyway, in the meantime, stay messy.